Welcome to the Sensory Empower podcast. I'm Bethany, your host. I'm a holistic occupational therapist with over a decade of experience in supporting individuals helping to transform their world through sensory empowerment. This podcast is your guide to the transformative world of sensory storytelling, holistic tools, and empowerment strategies. Welcome to another episode of the Sensory Empower podcast. I'm Bethany, your host, and today I'm really excited to dive into kind of how we can think about understanding and embracing our true sensory preferences. So the things that we might need throughout our day, and embracing, accepting, and giving ourselves some beautiful, kind compassion and self-love for the experiences that we might be having throughout the day. So let's get started. As we dive into thinking about being and becoming sensory savvy, so we're starting to view life through a sensory lens. We can think about relationships, we can think about conflict resolution, we can think about self-regulation, emotional regulation, we can think about how we participate in our activities of daily living, how we're functioning and processing through daily life experiences from this sensory lens. And so when I'm chatting with clients and I'm talking with families that I support, I'm always trying to come from this angle, this lens of sensory preferences and using a sensory lens. So putting on some even like visualizing sensory goggles and thinking of the world in this perspective of how all of our 8 senses can come into play throughout our whole day and impacting even sleep, so throughout our whole night as well. So something I'm really looking forward to is announcing that I'm going to be having a Sensory Savvy Challenge. So this is an online challenge that is going to help you explore, identify, and hopefully feel even more empowered having the knowledge of what your sensory preferences are, the things that kind of you need throughout your day to help wake up your body, things that maybe you do to help with calming. And we're going to come through a really fun activity daily. We're going to have 7 days of the Sensory Savvy Challenge to really encourage everyone to explore and just start to identify and understand their own unique sensory preferences. So this challenge really isn't about recognizing what we like or dislike. It's really about this true deep empowerment to understand our senses and how they shape our interactions with the world. There might be perspectives of sensory sensitivities discussed. There might be times where we're needing more and we're seeking out more input from our world. But it's really about understanding this depth of how our senses can truly shape our interactions with others, the environment, and with ourselves. And I really truly believe that by becoming sensory savvy, you can go ahead and enhance your well-being, improve your communication with others because you're able to describe things. A few clients in my membership community have discussed how they feel just like so understood and so held when they're able to express hey, this is just a sensory need that I need to talk about. Or this is why I'm doing this, because my body is needing this additional information, this additional input. And so I really truly feel that by becoming a sensory savvy individual, we can start to create those environments that support our sensory need. We've had some previous podcast episodes where we've talked about creating like a sensory oasis or a calm, cozy space that helps to meet and nourish your sensory needs throughout the day. And so I hope this challenge can be an experience where we're really actively learning, engaging, and hopefully finding moments of deep empowerment and understanding that, yes, I do have these things that I need throughout my day. And how can I meet them? How can I find some tools? We're going to have some activities where we'll go through like a sensory journal or a diary where we're just kind of listing off, making some checklists of some of the activities that we'll talk through in the challenge and how they helped support your system. Are those tools that you would like to use in the future? Are those tools you can always kind of keep, in your back pocket as you move through the world and maybe have a moment where you're needing more input and needing more of those tools, or getting overstimulated, or moments of sensory overload and needing some different tools. So I want to highlight all of our 8 senses will be discussed in the Sensory Savvy Challenge. We often have the discussion and the known, 5 traditional senses of sight and sound, smell, taste, and touch. But there are many, many more that are kind of hidden. And the first is proprioception. So this is in our joints. We have that feedback through that compression or retraction, where those muscle bellies are sending that signal to our brain, letting us know its position. It is our body awareness sense. It helps us know where we are without looking at our limbs. So I know if I extended my arm out and I closed my eyes, I have that awareness that my arm is out, extended in front of me. So that's proprioception. It's in our joints. If there are things that you really enjoy, like for me, I love doing yoga, I love lifting weights, I love like grounding and having some extra feedback by using like a weighted blanket. Those are things where we can enhance that proprioceptive awareness and help us feel more grounded. Can be a very powerful technique to use if we are feeling overstimulated. One that I really love to use is just kind of using my hands, using the heel of my hands and just pushing on my hips, kind of grounding, pushing my hips into my seat, noticing that sensation. This can be a very powerful nervous system reset if we've moved into a state of dysregulation. Our second hidden sensory sense in our body is our vestibular system. And this is in our inner ear, and this allows us really our balance and our movement sense. It helps with that spatial awareness. It helps really reset our body so we don't fall over when we walk or run. It's helping this recalibration of knowing I'm either moving forward, side to side, or moving in a circle. So activities that can stimulate the system include rocking. You might see me kind of doing some movement back and forth on a wobble stool that I've gotten because I need a lot of vestibular input and proprioceptive input throughout my day to help my system feel grounded. And this is a really powerful sense that also gets activated through swinging. Dancing can be a great one if you are dancing in a line dancing, or maybe doing some partner dancing where you're doing spinning. That is really, really activating our vestibular system. And it really stimulates that system to help, bring awareness to our balance and our coordination. So it's a really powerful system when we think about how our vestibular system can get dysregulated. We think about moments of dizziness, where we're bumping into things, where we're having maybe some nausea, blurriness, that kind of feeling like we're not calibrated in a focused point. So experiences such as any sort of kind of neurological traumas, so traumatic brain injuries, concussions, those can be really, really impacting our vestibular processing sense, where the hair cells in our inner ear might be misinterpreting. If we're walking or if we're sitting and standing up, it might think that we are spinning, and that's where that dizziness can come play in, and then that definitely can impact function. So our vestibular system is, tucked away inside of our inner ear, and it is very, very powerful of a sense that really has a lot of interplay with balance, coordination, and our overall body movement and head and space movement. And then the hidden sense that I absolutely love and have been quite obsessed talking about lately is the interoceptive sense. And this is our 8th sensory sense. This is our internal gut body state sense. And so this is those listening cues to body signals. Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Is that bladder awareness, bowel awareness? As well as a need for rest. Am I getting sleepy? Do I need to have a moment where I'm taking a break? Am I starting to get dysregulated? Did I have temperature change? And that whole interpretation of receiving those cues from our body so we know what action step that we need to take is very, very crucial. And there's some powerful tools that can help us increase those body cues and those connections from our gut to our brain. So mindfulness and body scans are such powerful tools to help increase interoceptive awareness. Mindfulness is the number one tool to increase our interoceptive awareness because it really helps us respond more effectively to our body's needs when we slow down and we stay in this calm, present moment experience. A body scan is very helpful because we can do a scan through our whole body, maybe starting at your head and going down to your toes, and just notice what shift of sensation you are starting to feel. There are moments in maybe your lungs where you notice that you're panting or having more shallow breathing, just that awareness to it. Heart rate is a huge one here too. So that awareness of what is my heart telling me? That experience of a rapid heart rate beating out of my chest, is that happening when I'm in a state of calm? And is it truly calm in those moments? And this interoceptive sense through all of these beautiful cues from our body, it's really so beautiful to work with clients over some period of time and start to hear these moments of self-love, self-compassion, and significant improvement in interoceptive awareness. Some clients even sharing like, thank you, interoceptive awareness. Like, I know when I'm getting tired and I acknowledge that instead of pushing past the overly fatigued and then crashing or then getting heightened and not being able to fall asleep. Mindful awareness of eating is also another share that I've heard recently from a few clients of just this perspective of what does my body truly need? Is it a different type of food? Is it eating more frequently, smaller portions? Is it the timing of the food? And then mindful eating in itself, the actual act of mindful eating, noticing the sensations, the textures, the temperatures, the flavors, noticing how it makes your mouth feel. Is it, more of a dry food like a bread? Is it drier and you're needing maybe to have a drink of liquid? Is it something that might be a little bit spicy where you have kind of a lingering warm sensation around your mouth? And so it's just fun to kind of think about that experience of mindful eating being so supportive with increasing our interoceptive awareness. The more we're able to pause, slow down, maybe take a few deep breaths, and just kind of reflect upon what are the cues that I feel in my body, it really is a powerful support tool to help us then come up with the best action step to help our body support what it needs. So it's a very beautiful sense, and I have just adored learning, diving into the research, diving into case studies, working with families, working with one-on-one clients, and really supporting building up practices to increase interoceptive awareness. We think about mindfulness and increased awareness in general. Mindfulness, I think just in general, has been a huge supporter in my own life and in clients that I work with. When we're thinking about, helps us really tune into our own sensory experiences And really by paying attention to our body cues, internal or external, for our body is giving us a cue of I need some more movement, or I need something heavy, I need to push. The sensory input, we can really start to better understand our needs and help with regulating our own emotions. So for example, it might be that you're noticing your heart rate is increasing. Might be a signal to take a few deep breaths, maybe take a pause, step outside, get some fresh air, have a change in environment for a moment. But that initial cue of especially at seated, if you're seated and you're at a state of rest and your heart is racing, that is a very powerful signal to your brain, letting you know, something has shifted. Am I comfortable? Am I uncomfortable? Those are questions I ask clients a lot. Is this comfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Where do you notice it in your body where you are having comfort and acknowledging and accepting comfort? Where are you having discomfort and acknowledging and accepting? And finding something with that powerful action step to support, especially when we're having discomfort. How do we solve the problem? Our body is given such a cool precursor cue of something's not quite right. How do we notice that signal? Well, mindful awareness is deeply powerful. So slowing down and practicing meditation, deep breathing exercises, that body scan we talked about, maybe starting at head and just kind of scanning down our whole body all the way down to our feet, and just noticing that we're increasing just this beautiful awareness. We're increasing this awareness of these sensory experiences in our life and how they can truly affect our emotion and then therefore our behavior. So I think about a time in the past where it was very hot outside and the air conditioning was not working. And I needed to try to fall asleep when the air conditioning was not working in a very, very hot state. And I remember this state of heart racing. My breathing was much more shallow and rapid. And I knew that my temperature was a huge factor in my ability to try to calm down and maintain a composed state to then let my body know, hey, you're safe, we can fall asleep. Because things were so warm, my whole interoceptive system was giving such a this is not working. And I was like, okay, what's my action step? Well, I'm going to go get some cold water, get some ice. I put it in a bowl, put this ice bowl, and I just had multiple washcloths, little towels in there. And I just put them over my body. I sat in front of a fan. That whole reset of my temperature regulation control, because I listened to my body cues and they were letting me know, hey, this is not very supportive for falling asleep. Your system's dysregulated, you're uncomfortable. I was very grateful for my temperature awareness, letting me know that I needed to pause and find a solution and take an action step. And I remember just kind of draping these washcloths over my body until the air conditioning was able to get fixed. And it really did. It was such a powerful supporter. And I just laid there. I practiced some deep breathing. I did a mindful body scan. I checked in to my system about 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, and noticed that there was a profound shift in my core temperature. I was regulated enough then to kind of put those away and still be in a state where I was able to have this calm parasympathetic nervous system kick in. The fan was going. I had that kind of white noise. And because my core temperature was reduced, I was then able to fall asleep, which was really, really healing and very supportive for my system, even though all of the external experiences were setting up for possible dysregulation in my system. And I noticed it. I felt this oh, this is not feeling very good. So that's just a little story about interoceptive awareness and how we can use those cues to take action and find some powerful tools. when we think about learning about our sensory preferences, those 8 sensory senses, I feel like this can really help us really live a very balanced and fulfilling life, because we're nourishing ourselves. We're giving ourselves beautiful support tools. And I really feel like when we start to integrate these mindful moments and increase our awareness of sensory experiences in our lives, I really feel like we can shift into an easier time regulating our emotions and really having more connected relationships. As we're able to discuss our sensory needs, we're able to have that common language of what we might be needing compared to another person's sensory needs. So I'm just really excited to dive into this next week. We will be launching on Monday, and I'm really looking forward to inviting as many people who would like to joining me on this journey to become sensory savvy. And if you're interested in learning more and maybe sharing your own experience, the Facebook group is Sensory Empowerment with Bethany, or you can email me at bethany@sensoryempower.com. And I really feel, and I'm just so grateful to be able to share this information. And I really feel that together, we can really create a supportive community that embraces and celebrates our sensory differences with this deep acceptance and compassion and kindness towards ourselves. So stay tuned to some more episodes where we will be continuing to dive into and explore the fascinating world of sensory empowerment. And until next time, stay grounded, stay mindful, and keep exploring your sensory world. Thank you for joining me on this sensory adventure through Sensory Empower, the podcast. Remember, empowerment begins with awakening your senses. Subscribe now and embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Until next time, may your senses guide you towards a life filled with peace, joy, and empowerment. Because true empowerment begins with embracing your senses.